The story kicks off by introducing Nick, who has a muscle problem, and he's on a road trip with his girlfriend Haley and their buddy Jonah to California. Haley is starting her studies there. The three used to go to MIT together. In the movie, you see them doing various things like eating at restaurants, checking out aquariums, and Nick even tries jogging along a river with a messed up path. They spend the night in a hotel, but Nick has a hard time falling asleep. Out of the blue, Nick gets a message from someone called Nomad, a sneaky hacker who caused problems for Nick and Jonah back in MIT. Nomad hacked into MIT's server using their info and almost got them kicked out. This troublemaker has been bothering them since. When Nick threatens to expose Nomad, Nomad sends a live video proving they know exactly where Nick and Jonah are. Turns out, Nomad hacked into Haley's laptop and was secretly watching them through the webcam. After Nick discovers the intrusion, he takes it upon himself to find out where Nomad is and figures out that Nomad is texting them from Nevada. The journey continues the next day, but things get tense when Jonah gets a picture of their car from Nomad. Jonah, sitting in the back, actively tries to figure out exactly where Nomad might be. They make a pit stop at a gas station, and Nick goes in to get some coffee. Haley takes advantage of the moment and asks Jonah if Nick has talked to him about her decision to move to California. She knows that Nick is bothered by it, but he hasn't brought it up yet. When Nick comes back with the coffee, he stumbles and spills it on himself. The incident leaves him feeling embarrassed because of his disability, and you can see it in the way he walks away to get more coffee, visibly upset. The guys figure out where Nomad is, just 180 miles away, and decide to visit him on their trip. But when they look around, they can't find Haley. Eventually, Nick finds her sitting on a cliff nearby. Nick and Haley then have an important talk about their relationship. Nick, worried that his disability might hinder Haley's future, considers breaking up with her before she leaves. Haley tries to reassure him that they can make it work, but Nick remains uncertain. In a moment of frustration, Haley takes off the necklace Nick gave her and tosses it away. After this emotional exchange, the trio continues toward Nomad's location. They stumble upon an abandoned house at night, sparking suspicions about Nomad's whereabouts. Despite their doubts, the guys decide to explore inside with flashlights but find nothing unusual. Suddenly, they hear Haley scream outside and rush to her. When they reach the car, she's vanished, and the car's radio is acting weird. Panic grips them as they call out for Haley. Nick shines his flashlight and sees a strange force lifting Haley into the sky. Terrified, they run toward her, screaming her name. The screen abruptly goes blank. When Nick wakes up, he's in a facility resembling a hospital, wearing a hospital gown and feeling disoriented. A person in a white spacesuit-like outfit guides Nick to a room in a wheelchair. Another individual in a similar attire introduces himself as Dr. Wallace Damon. He starts recording their conversation and asks Nick about the first time he encountered a specific signal. Nick is completely confused and has no clue what Damon is talking about. He asks about his friends and why he's there. Damon tells Nick that he and his friends have had contact with an EBE, an extraterrestrial biological entity. Nick is still puzzled, finding it hard to understand the situation, and insists on seeing his friends or getting in touch with his family. Damon interrupts Nick when he tries to speak, noticing that Nick's nose is bleeding heavily. Nick is quickly taken back to the room he was in before. The next day, facility staff bring him back to the same room. On the way, Nick sees workers cleaning a strange substance from the facility's floor. His heart sinks when he catches a glimpse of Haley lying in a room, and he urgently asks to see her. However, the workers don't follow his request. Nick is brought before Damon again, who informs him that seeing Haley is not possible at the moment. Instead, Damon proceeds to ask Nick a series of puzzling questions, like whether he has 10 toes and if he's from Earth. Damon then brings up the signals, referring to Nomad's texts. Finally, he plays a clip from the night they were at Nomad's, zooming in on an alien-like figure in the background. Nick is shocked by this revelation. To his horror, Damon reveals that Nomad wasn't just a hacker. Later, Nick is back in his room when he hears a whisper from a nearby vent. Nick scans the room and finds Jonah, who is hiding from the facility workers and has come to talk. Jonah expresses serious concerns about the facility's real intentions, fearing they might be subjected to experiments. Their tense conversation is cut short. The next day, Nick is once again in Damon's presence. This time, Damon puts him through a shape and color test. Annoyed, Nick quickly solves the test and insists on seeing Haley. Damon reluctantly agrees and escorts Nick to the room where Haley lies unconscious. He explains that she's currently in a coma but assures Nick that once she regains consciousness, he'll be given the opportunity to speak with her. From the following day, Nick starts to formulate an escape strategy within the facility. He crumbles the cracker provided as sustenance, scattering the crumbs on the keypad in an attempt to decipher the entrance door's password. Returning to his room, Nick initiates the implementation of his escape plan. As part of their getaway scheme, Nick decides to connect Haley's bed to his wheelchair. Simultaneously, Damon enters Nick's room and uncovers numerous drawings of the facility on his bed, bringing to light his intentions. Nick successfully maneuvers himself and Haley close to the exit door, but reaching the keypad proves challenging. Despite his earnest efforts, using even a hospital tube to press the keys, Damon apprehends him before he can succeed. Nick later regains consciousness beside Haley, who remains in an unconscious state. In a struggle with the guards, Nick tumbles off the bed. The guards depart upon witnessing him bleeding. Nick is stunned to find that his legs have been amputated and replaced with prosthetics crafted from alien technology. Damon, observing him through a one-way mirror, tries to explain the bewildering situation, but it's hard for Nick to grasp. Sending workers to retrieve Nick, Damon remains unaware of the immense strength in Nick's new legs. Utilizing this newfound power, Nick sends the door flying open and escapes. He grabs Haley, now able to walk with remarkable strength from his enhanced legs. As they navigate the facility's corridors, Damon catches up, intercepting them at an elevator. Calmly, Damon explains that he can only aid Nick within the facility and warns that outside, Nick will be on his own. Ignoring Damon's advice, Nick flees with Haley. They traverse poorly lit passageways and a sewer-like system before emerging into daylight, finding themselves in a desert landscape. Haley finally wakes up, and the pair start walking. After a while, they spot a car approaching and flag it down, relieved for the chance of assistance. The driver turns out to be Mirabelle, an elderly woman with an unusual and eccentric demeanor. Throughout their time together, Mirabelle behaves oddly, claiming to communicate with tiny angels from God. After dropping them off at a gas station, Nick tries to use a phone, finding it non-functional. His shock peaks when he sees his own face on TV, coinciding with a red truck speeding off with Haley inside. Nick swiftly sprints after the truck, propelled by his exceptional alien-enhanced legs. Meanwhile, inside the truck, Haley discovers a gun and confronts the man trying to abduct her. Together, they overpower him and seize control of the truck. Simultaneously, Damon sets up a roadblock to track down Nick and Haley. In the pursuit, he crosses paths with Mirabelle and convinces her to accompany him, carrying a mysterious red briefcase. Back at the facility, Damon questions Mirabelle, but a strange occurrence happens as her nose begins to bleed, reminiscent of Nick's earlier experience. Retrieving a gun from the briefcase, Damon's actions signal a foreboding outcome as the screen fades to black. Nick and Haley reach a dead end, uncertain of their location. When they turn back, they chance upon an abandoned visitor center and decide it's a suitable place to seek refuge for a while. Inside, Nick attempts to use a phone, only to find it non-functional. Haley discovers a map of the area, but deciphering their location proves challenging for Nick. Meanwhile, Damon and his team continue their pursuit and track down the man who took Haley. However, he seems to have lost his sanity, conversing with imaginary family members. In an attempt to harm Damon, his gun fails, leading Damon to fire back and neutralize the threat before moving on. Nick and Haley hear a commotion downstairs and hide, stumbling upon a worker from the facility who turns out to be Jonah. The friends reunite and exchange their experiences, realizing that Jonah also managed to escape from the facility. As night falls, Nick notices an unusual mark on Haley's back, sparking suspicion that she might have undergone experimentation as well. Jonah suggests they might be in Area 51, revealing that his arms have been replaced with prosthetics. The following day, they embark on a quest to find an exit but encounter a roadblock, hindering their progress. Jonah takes a bold stand, confronting a guard and firing shots while Nick and Haley seek shelter behind the truck. Tragically, Jonah sustains severe injuries in the process. Despite Nick's reluctance to leave his best friend, Jonah insists he and Haley must flee while he distracts the guards. Using his powerful prosthetic arms, Jonah demolishes a barrier blocking their escape route, allowing Nick and Haley to break free. However, Jonah's heroic efforts cost him his life as he battles the guards, creating a disorienting shockwave before succumbing. As Nick and Haley attempt to escape, their truck collides with a spiked roadblock, causing a violent crash. Both emerge from the wreckage with severe injuries. In a poignant moment, Haley returns the necklace Nick thought she had discarded earlier. The guards apprehend Haley, whisking her away in a helicopter. Alone, Nick notices Damon's name tag, spelling Nomad backward. The truth strikes him, Damon has been using the identity of Nomad all along. Damon confesses that he orchestrated Nick's arrival, manipulating him for experiments involving alien technology. Wow, what a wild turn. Damon boasts about his hybrid legs, combining human and alien tech, triggering Nick's rage. As Nick's fury intensifies, his legs start glowing red, granting him incredible speed. But his momentum abruptly halts when he crashes into an invisible barrier, propelling him into a vast exterior space. Damon approaches the breach, shedding his disguise to reveal a robotic head, unveiling the shocking truth: everyone in the facility, including Damon, is a robotic alien entity. Nick learns that Mirabel and the man who abducted Haley were initially abducted humans driven insane by their inability to adapt to the alien tech. Damon had to eliminate them. As Nick surveys the area, he realizes he's on an entirely different planet. The desert was an elaborate simulation, designed to deceive them into believing they were still on Earth. The camera pans out, revealing an advanced world with towering skyscrapers and a colossal sun shield above. Nick's heart sinks as he comprehends the reality: he's the only human on this alien world, having lost his best friend and had his girlfriend taken from him. And with that revelation, the story concludes. Thank you for being part of this journey.